So here we go, let's look at a problem. We have the closing date is July 23rd charged to the buyer. They're always going to give you the date of closing. They're usually going to state whether it's charged to the buyer or not, but it doesn't really matter. And then we have the annual property taxes, which they can sometimes try to trip you up and give you a monthly amount, just make it annual. In this case, it gives us the annual for $3,400, and they have not yet been paid. What will the seller pay the buyer for the days that the seller owned the property if the day of closing belongs to the buyer? So make sure to only count the days before, not the day of. And to help with this, we prefer you to draw out the following timelines, as it will help you get your days correct. Once I started using this in the classroom, it just made life so much easier. Now, the 365-day method calculates the proration using the actual number of days in the proration period. There are 365 days in a year, and you kind of need to know that to be able to get this problem correct. Now, to use this method, you will divide 365 days into the annual cost to find the exact daily rate, then multiply the total number of days in each month involved by the daily rate. For those of you who do not know the knuckle trick, next is a simple little trick to help you count how many days are in each month, for those of you that don't know the poem. Now, how we do this is you count your high knuckles, which will be our 31-day months, and the valley between our knuckles, which will be the 30-day months. And we'll go ahead and give you a count. You always start on your high knuckle. So you have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and July and August are both 31-day months, so we just start back over, or you can use the same knuckle and backtrack. I've had students go either way. But August, September, October, November, and December. And you will need to know how many days are in each month to count up your months for this problem. So now that we've covered that, let's go back to our problem, where we have the closing date being July the 23rd, and the property taxes were $3,400. So here's the timeline we like you to draw. You can do one much more simple and just draw a line coming straight down in the center across another longer line and say that's the 23rd. And then do your diagonal slash line going through it for the 22nd. That's the bare minimum. That's what the timeline really helps you with. We do not count the 23rd because that day forward belongs to the buyer. Everything from January the 1st all the way up until the 22nd belongs to the seller. Now, how you calculate this is use your knuckle trick. Now, also, for those of you who do not know, February, instead of just being a 30-day month, is a 28-day month, sometimes 29 if you have a leap year. So the high knuckles are all 31, the lower knuckles are all 30, or the values between, except with February, which is our oddball. So you can go January's 31, February's 28, and so on, up until the month before the one you're in. So go to June and stop. And then inside July, we're only going to count using our timeline here, the 1st through the 2nd, or the 22nd, which is 22 days. And then you add all of them up to find out how many days the seller owned the property that year, which is 203. Now, we take the property taxes that are $3,400, divide it by how many days are in a year, 365, to find out how much it cost per day the whole year for property taxes. When you divide that, you'll get $9.3151. Do not cut it off yet, because when the state's calculating your taxes, they're not going to round off for you either. So you take whatever that division problem was and just multiply it by the days you counted up, and there's your answer. Gives you $1,890, and here you have 0.945. Here you can either round it up to the next penny or drop all the change and round it up or down to the next dollar. It just depends on whatever your answer choices are. But here we're going to just say the 5 makes the 4 a 5 and cut it off at 95 cents. Credit the seller, debit the buyer. That'll be a big deal, as you'll see in some of our practice problems coming up, where you can have 2 answers with the correct math answer, but they'll swap who's getting debited and credited. And if you do not know that, you can get the answer wrong, even if you did all the math right.